15 men had already failed to control Norman Tucker's black stallion when Angela Davis, blind and barely 5 feet 3 inches tall, was shoved into the paddock with nothing but the rhythm of her breath and a voice soft as snow. Blood darkened the dirt where the 7th guard had fallen. Someone was screaming for tranquilizers. Another man clutched his broken ribs, face twisted in pain. The crime boss himself stood still on the marble terrace above, watching his empire's symbol of power. 1,000 pounds of pure black rage reared up again. Hoofs slashed through afternoon air like knives. The horse screamed. Not a happy sound, not a normal horse sound. A noise that belonged to something wild being slowly destroyed. The Tucker estate spread across 80 acres of Northern California's hidden valleys, where old money bought privacy and power bought silence. Norman Tucker owned it all. The main house with its Italian marble columns, the guest houses scattered like forgotten toys, the stables that housed horses worth more than most people earned in a lifetime. This afternoon, that wealth meant nothing. His men surrounded the stallion like they were trying to stop a bomb from exploding, and they were losing. But that chaos was still minutes away. Right now, Angela Davis was polishing silver in the staff kitchen, counting seconds by the weight of metal in her hands. The serving tray she held was fancy, probably from the 1700s, definitely too expensive for her to drop. She had been working on it for 23 minutes so far. She counted the time by the rhythm of her circular motions, the soft squeak of cloth against metal, the way the afternoon sun warmed the left side of her face through the kitchen window she could not see. She knew it was afternoon because the kitchen smelled like herbs and garlic. Lunch was over. Dinner would not start for another 2 hours. This was her quiet time, the space between meals when the staff kitchen belonged to her alone. Her fingers traced the tray's edge, feeling for rough spots. None. She had been careful. But she kept polishing anyway because standing still meant thinking, and thinking meant remembering, and remembering meant hurting. The vibration hit her feet first. Angela froze, cloth pressed against silver, head tilted to one side. There. Again. Not the normal feeling of footsteps, or delivery trucks, or the rumble of the big kitchen machines. This was different. Heavier. Faster. The kind of shaking that traveled through concrete and tile and climbed up through the bottoms of her simple black shoes. Thunder, she thought. But the afternoon sun was still warming her face. No rain. No storm. Another vibration. Stronger this time. Then another. Building into a pattern she knew from childhood, from the horse ranch in Montana, where her father had taught her to understand horses by sound before she had lost the ability to see them at all. Hooves. But not the calm trot of a horse on a walk. Not the smooth rhythm of a horse running for fun. This was panic. Before we go deeper into this story, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. This one is going to break your heart and set your soul on fire. Hit that subscribe button because you do not want to miss what happens next. Angela set down the tray slowly, her heart beating faster. She had been working at the Tucker estate for 2 months, and in that time she had learned the rhythm of this place like a musician learns a song. Morning deliveries at 6 in the morning. Lawn mowing at 9. Security guards walking their routes every 3 hours. Pool cleaning on Tuesdays. Staff changes at exact times. This was not on the schedule. She heard shouting now. Male voices, many of them, coming from the direction of the stables. Words she could not understand yet, but the feeling was clear. Emergency. Maybe fear. Angela's first thought was the same one that had kept her employed and invisible for 2 months. Stay here. This is not your problem. You are paid to clean and cook, not get involved in other people's business. She turned back to the silver tray. Another crash. Louder. Closer. Then a sound that made her blood turn cold. A horse screaming. Not the happy sound horses make when they see food. Not the normal sounds of a horse being a horse. Screaming. The sound an animal makes when it is past fear and deep into something wild and violent. She had heard it only once before, when a female horse at her father's ranch had gotten tangled in sharp wire and torn herself bloody trying to escape. Angela's hands gripped the edge of the counter. Her clouded eyes stared at nothing, but her other senses were painting the picture she could not see. The hoofbeats were coming in fast bursts now. Charge! Stop! Turn! Charge again. The men's voices were getting sharper, more scared. Someone was yelling orders. Someone else was yelling for a doctor. Doctor. That meant injuries. That meant the situation was already bad. She should stay in the kitchen. That is what Norman Tucker paid her to do. Stay invisible, stay quiet, be a ghost who polished silver and made meals and never, ever drew attention to herself. But the horse screamed again, and Angela's fingers found her silver cross necklace. She thought of her father, thought of the way he had taught her to approach scared animals. Not with force, but with patience. Not with eyes, but with presence. The way he had made her close her eyes even before the disease had stolen her sight completely, teaching her to feel the animal's energy, to match her breathing to theirs, to become safe instead of scary. Animals do not trust what they see, Angela, he had said. They trust what they feel. And right now, they feel your calm more than they see your size. But that was Montana. That was a small family ranch where her father knew every horse by name and personality. This was the Tucker estate. This was a world of money and power and violence, where Norman Tucker ruled with cold control and people who made mistakes disappeared. She had heard the whispers from the other staff. The worker who had stolen a bottle of expensive wine and was never seen again. The housekeeper who had talked too much to a reporter and had decided to move away. Angela had no false ideas about what kind of man gave her paychecks. She had taken this job because she was desperate, because the job agency did not ask questions about her disability, because the pay was cash and the work was simple, and the other option was sleeping in her beat-up car again. Staying invisible was not just smart, it was survival. The hoofbeats crashed again, followed by the sound of wood breaking. Then a man's scream, short and suddenly silent. Angela's decision made itself. She set down the polishing cloth, smoothed her white shirt, and walked toward the kitchen door. The afternoon sun hit her face as she stepped outside, bright and hot. She could hear everything now. Boots on gravel, men yelling directions, the jingle of equipment, and underneath it all, that steady, terrible rhythm of the horse's panic. Her white cane was in her room. She had learned to walk around most of the estate without it, counting steps, remembering turns, using the sun's warmth and the sounds of each space. But this was different. This was going somewhere new. She felt for the wall, found it, followed it toward the noise. Get around him. Do not let him near the main house. Where is the sleeping drug? Someone get the sleeping drug. He is heading for the fence again. The voices were piling on top of each other now, creating a map of chaos in her mind. Angela counted at least 10 different men, maybe more. She could hear their heavy boots hitting the ground in angry patterns. Surrounding, trapping, attacking. And in the center of it all, that horse, still fighting, still screaming. She reached the corner of the east wing and stopped. The stables were 50 feet to her right. She could smell them. Hay, animal waste, leather, sweat. Could feel the shaking through the ground growing stronger. Ma'am! The voice came from her left. Angela turned toward it. Ma'am, you need to leave this area right now. This is not safe. Angela did not recognize the voice, but the authority in it was clear. Security. One of the guards. What happened? She asked. That is not your business. Please go back to the main house. Is someone hurt? A pause. Ma'am. I can hear the horse, Angela said quietly. He is terrified. That thing is not terrified. It is trying to kill my men. Now please. A crash stopped him. More yelling. The guard swore and ran toward the noise, leaving Angela standing alone. She should turn around, should go back to the kitchen and her silver tray and her invisible life. Instead, she started walking toward the paddock. The ground changed under her feet, from gravel to dirt to something that felt like sand mixed with something wet. The air smelled like fear. Human sweat, animal panic, and something metallic she did not want to think about. She stopped at what felt like a fence, wrapped her fingers around wood, rough, broken in places, fresh damage. The horse was close now. She could hear him breathing hard, could feel the vibrations of his hooves even when they were not moving. He was exhausted. They both were. The men and the animal. But nobody was backing down. I need a clear shot. Someone get on his left side. We tried that. He is not responding to anything. Then someone get Tucker down here and tell him we are putting this animal down before it kills someone. Angela's fingers squeezed the fence harder. Putting him down. They were going to kill him. Because 15 men with equipment and training and force could not control one frightened animal. She thought of her father again. Thought of the female horse tangled in wire. How his solution was not more ropes, more men, more force. It was less. It was patience. It was a single voice, calm and low, saying easy now. Nobody is going to hurt you. Angela took a breath. Then another. Matching the rhythm she used for calming herself, for finding center in a world she could not see. 4 beats in. 6 beats out. The horse's breathing was rough, uneven, wild. She kept breathing. Steady. Present. Safe. And standing there at that fence, her fingers wrapped around splintered wood, Angela Davis made a choice that would change everything. She was about to stop being invisible. "Ma'am, step back from that fence." The voice belonged to a man who sounded tired and angry at the same time. Angela turned her head toward him but did not move her hands from the wood. "The horse is scared," she said. "That horse just broke 3 of my men. It is not scared. It is dangerous. Now move before you get hurt." Angela listened past his words. Listened to the horse. The heavy breathing. The way his hooves scraped the dirt. Not attacking. Reacting. There was a difference. "How many men are in there with him?" she asked. "That is not your concern. Step away from the fence. Now." "How many?" Angela asked again, her voice still soft but more firm. A pause. 15. "We have 15 men trying to contain that animal." 15, Angela repeated. She understood now. "He thinks you are trying to kill him." "What?" 15 men. All bigger than him. All staring at him. All trying to force him down. She paused. In the wild, when animals surround another animal like that, it means death. You are not containing him. You are hunting him. The man made a sound like he wanted to argue, but another crash cut him off. More yelling. Someone screaming for help. Angela heard fast footsteps. Then a hand grabbed her arm. Rough. Urgent. "You want to help so bad? Fine. Maybe you can distract him long enough for us to get a clean shot." "Wait, what are you?" Angela started to say, but the hand was already pulling her forward. "Hey! What are you doing?" Another voice, different from the first. Younger. Worried. "Getting creative," the man holding her arm said. "If she wants to help the horse so much, let's see what happens when she gets close to it." Angela's heart jumped into her throat. She tried to pull back, but the man's grip was strong. He dragged her along the fence line. She stumbled, her shoes catching in the dirt. "Stop! You cannot!" The younger voice protested. "Watch me," the older man said. Angela heard metal scraping. A latch being pulled. The squeak of a gate opening. No, this was not what she meant. She was not ready. She needed time to think, to plan, to... The hand on her arm shoved her forward. Hard. Angela stumbled through the gate and fell to her knees in the dirt. Behind her, the gate slammed shut with a sound like a cell door closing. There. Problem solved. Either she distracts it, or she does not. Either way, we get our shot. Angela's hands pressed into the dirt. Her breath came fast and shallow. Panic tried to climb up her throat. She forced it back down. Focus. Breathe. Think. She could hear the horse now. Closer than before. Maybe 30 feet away. His breathing was harsh, wet, exhausted. She could feel the vibrations through the ground every time he moved. On the terrace above the paddock, Norman Tucker set down his drink and walked to the railing. He had been watching this disaster for the last 20 minutes, already planning which people to fire for this mess. But now something different was happening. The blind maid, the one he barely remembered hiring. Small woman, always quiet, never caused problems. Someone had just thrown her into the paddock with a horse that had already sent 3 men to the hospital. Norman leaned forward, interested now. This would go one of 2 ways. Either the woman would die, which would be unfortunate but would teach his security team a lesson about making stupid decisions in crisis situations. Or something else would happen. Something unexpected. Norman Tucker had built his whole life on being able to predict people. But a blind woman facing a killer horse she could not see? That was new. In the paddock, Angela slowly got to her feet. Her knees hurt where she had hit the ground. Her hands were covered in dirt. But she pushed all of that away and focused on the only thing that mattered. The horse. She could hear him moving. Slow. Wary. He was watching her. Or at least, he was aware of her. New thing in his space. Potential threat. Do not act like a threat, she told herself. Do not be what he expects. Angela closed her eyes, even though they saw nothing anyway. Old habit. It helped her think. What did her father always say? When you walk into a space with a scared horse, you are not entering as a human. You are entering as energy. Are you dangerous energy? Or are you safe energy? How do I be safe energy? You breathe. You center yourself. You remember that you are not there to take anything from them. You are there to offer them a choice. Trust me, or do not trust me. I will wait either way. Angela started breathing. Slowly, deeply, 4 counts in through her nose. Hold. 6 counts out through her mouth. Again, and again. The breathing was something a doctor had taught her after she lost her sight completely at 16. It was not about controlling the world around her. That was impossible. It was about controlling the world inside her. Her heart rate, her fear response, the chemicals in her body that turned fear into freeze. 4 in. Hold. 6 out. Again. 30 feet away, the horse's breathing started to change. Still rough, still tired, but different. Listening. Angela kept breathing. Did not move toward him. Did not speak yet. Just stood there. A small figure in a white shirt and black skirt, hands at her sides, offering nothing but presence. Outside the fence, the guards stood frozen. Some looked confused. Some looked horrified. One of them pulled out his phone like he was about to record what happened next. On the terrace, Norman Tucker's eyes narrowed. The woman was not moving, not running, not screaming, just standing there, breathing. Most people, when thrown into danger they could not see, would panic, would run, would do something. But this woman was doing nothing. Or maybe she was doing everything, and Norman just could not see it yet. In the paddock, Angela counted her breaths. 10 cycles. 20. The sun moved slightly, changing the warmth on her face. Time felt slow like honey. Then she heard it. A change in the horse's breathing. Still heavy, still scared, but the rhythm was different. Less wild. More curious. He was listening. Angela's lips curved into the smallest smile. She began to hum. Not a song. Not exactly. More like a vibration that started in her chest and moved through her throat. Low. Smooth. No words, no tune. Just sound. Her father used to do this with the horses at the ranch. He called it toning. The horses did not understand words, but they understood frequency. They understood when a sound was angry or scared or calm. Angela's tone was calm. So calm it was almost like sleep. The vibration carried across the paddock like a ripple through water. The horse's ears moved forward. Outside the fence, one of the guards whispered, "What is she doing?" "Shut up!" someone else hissed. Angela kept humming. The same low tone, rising and falling like breathing itself. She swayed slightly. Not big movements, just a gentle shift from right foot to left foot and back again. A dance without steps. In the wild, predators moved in straight lines. Direct. Focused. Hunters. Prey moved in curves and circles and patterns. Peaceful animals. Angela was moving like a peaceful animal. No threat. No power games. Just another creature sharing space. The humming continued. Her breathing rhythm had mixed with the sound now. 4 counts in. Hold. 6 counts of tone. Over and over. She heard it before she felt it. Hooves. 1 step. Slow. Careful. The horse was coming closer. Every part of Angela's body screamed at her to step back, to protect herself, to run. Her logical brain listed every way this could go wrong. Crushed ribs. Broken spine. Cracked skull. But she kept humming. Another step. Closer. She could smell him now. Sweat and blood and something wild underneath. Could feel the air moving as his huge body came nearer. The guards outside the fence were frozen. The man with the sleeping drug gun had it raised, finger on the trigger, ready to shoot. Norman Tucker's hand gripped the terrace railing, so tight his knuckles turned white. And Angela kept humming, kept breathing, kept offering safety to a creature who had forgotten what safety felt like. The horse took another step, then another. He was less than 10 feet away now. And Angela Davis, blind and terrified and completely out of her depth, did the only thing she knew how to do. She waited, The paddock went quiet except for two sounds: her breathing and the horse's heavy panting. Everyone outside the fence had stopped moving, stopped talking, even stopped breathing, it seemed. Angela's heart was beating so hard she thought the horse could probably hear it. Maybe he could. Animals heard everything humans tried to hide. Do not run, she told herself. Do not freeze. Do not make yourself look like prey. But she was prey. A 90-pound woman standing in front of a 1,000-pound animal that had just hurt 3 grown men. 4 in. Hold. 6 out. She kept breathing. The horse took another step. She could hear his hoof hit the dirt. Heavy. Deliberate. Not charging. Choosing. 3 more steps, and he would be close enough to touch her. Close enough to hurt her. Angela's fingers trembled at her sides. She wanted to reach up and grab her necklace, that small silver cross she always touched when she was scared. But moving her hands might startle him, so she kept them still. The horse stopped moving. Angela could feel him now. Not touching, but close. The heat coming off his body. The sound of his breath disturbing the air between them. The smell of sweat and fear and something wild that did not belong in a cage. She waited 5 heartbeats. 10. 20. Then she spoke. Easy. Her voice came out as a whisper. Soft. Low. Like she was telling a secret. Easy now. The horse's breathing changed. Just a little. Like he was surprised to hear a voice instead of a shout. Nobody's going to hurt you anymore, Angela continued, keeping her voice at that same quiet level. I promise. She could not see him, but she could hear everything. The way his hooves shifted in the dirt. The way his breath was still coming fast but not as panicked. The way he was listening to her. I know they scared you, she said. 15 men, all bigger than you, all staring at you, all trying to break you. That must have been so scary. Another shift. He was closer now. Angela could feel the air change as his massive head lowered slightly. But I'm not here to break you. I don't even have ropes. She slowly raised her hands, palms up, showing empty hands to a creature that could not see them any better than she could. But animals understood body language, understood the difference between fists ready to fight and open palms offering peace. See? Nothing. Just me. Just breathing. On the terrace above, Norman Tucker leaned, so far over the railing he almost lost his balance. What was she doing? Talking to it like it was a person? Like it could understand her? But the horse was listening. Norman could see that from where he stood. The animal's ears were pointed toward the woman. His head was lowered. He was not charging or screaming or trying to kill her. He was listening. In the paddock, the horse took another step. 2 feet away now. Angela could feel his breath on her face. Warm. Wet. Real. That's it, she whispered. You're doing so good. You're so brave. Her hand stayed up, palms open, waiting. I can't see you, but I know you're beautiful. I know you're strong. And I know you're tired of fighting. 1 more step. 1 foot. Angela's whole body was shaking now, but her breathing stayed steady. Her voice stayed soft. You don't have to fight anymore. You don't have to prove anything. You can just be. She felt it before it happened. A change in the air. A shift in temperature. The feeling of space being filled. The horse's huge head lowered and pressed his soft nose into her open palm. The touch was gentle, almost careful. A 1,000-pound animal touching a 90-pound woman with the lightness of a butterfly landing on a flower. Angela's breath caught in her throat. Her fingers trembled as they made contact with the soft fur of his nose. Warm. Alive. Trusting. There you are, she whispered. There you are. Her other hand came up slowly, carefully, finding his jaw. Then his cheek. Then the thick curve of his neck. She could feel his pulse under the skin. Fast but slowing. Could feel the tension in his muscles. Tight but releasing. You're safe now, she said. I promise. You're safe. Outside the fence, 15 men stood frozen in shock. Mouths open. Eyes wide. Not believing what they were seeing. On the terrace, Norman Tucker's hand was gripping the railing so tight it hurt. He had built his whole life on reading people. On seeing fear before they felt it. On finding weakness before they knew it existed. He could tell when someone was lying just by watching their eyes move. But this woman had no eyes to read, no face to study, no body language that made sense. And somehow, that made her the most interesting person he had ever met. In the paddock, Angela stroked the horse's neck. Once, twice, feeling the tiny shaking that ran through him like an earthquake, finally stopping. "That's right," she said quietly. "Let it go. Let all of it go." The horse's breathing got deeper, slower. The white parts of his eyes that showed when he was scared disappeared as his panic faded. And then, impossible as it seemed, the horse's front legs began to bend. Angela felt him lowering, felt the shift in his weight, felt the exact moment when a creature built for running and fighting chose to submit instead. The stallion knelt before her. His huge head dropped to her chest. Not aggressive, not defeated, just resting, like a child finally allowed to stop being strong. Angela's fingers found his mane, tangling in the rough black hair. Her other arm wrapped around his neck, holding him the way you hold someone who survived something terrible. "You're okay," she whispered into his mane. "You're okay now. Nobody's going to hurt you. I won't let them." A tear slipped down her cheek. She did not wipe it away. Outside the fence, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. They just stared at the impossible thing happening in front of them. A blind woman. A killer horse. Kneeling. On the terrace, Norman finally moved. He turned to the head of security without looking away from the paddock. "What's her name?" he asked quietly. "Angela Davis, sir. Get me everything we have on her. Where she came from. Where she worked before. Everything. Sir!" "That woman just did something 15 trained men could not do. I want to know who she is. And I want to know how she did it." In the paddock, Angela continued to hold the kneeling horse, whispering words of comfort to a creature that did not understand language, but understood everything else. She did not know she was being watched from the terrace, did not know she was being recorded by a hidden camera in the oak tree 30 yards away, did not know that in walking into that paddock, she had stopped being invisible and become the most valuable person on Norman Tucker's estate. All she knew was the horse was not shaking anymore, and neither was she. The stallion stayed kneeling for a long time. Angela kept her arms around his neck, kept whispering to him, kept being the first safe thing he had felt all day. Finally, slowly, he started to stand. His legs unfolded carefully, his head lifted from her chest, but he did not move away from her. He stayed close, his body still touching hers, like he was afraid she would disappear if he let go. Angela ran her hand along his shoulder and felt something wet. Blood. He was hurt. "You're bleeding," she said softly. Her fingers explored the wound, gently. "Not deep, but it needs to be cleaned. I'll send someone down to take care of that." Angela jumped at the sound of Norman Tucker's voice. She had forgotten about everyone else, forgotten about the guards, forgotten about the danger. For those few minutes, it had just been her and the horse. "Tucker," she said, turning her face toward where his voice came from. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Don't apologize." His voice was closer now. He must have come down from the terrace. "What you just did was remarkable. I didn't do anything. I just listened. You did more than listen. You accomplished what 15 of my best men could not. You controlled something that could not be controlled." Angela's hand stilled on the horse's neck. She did not like the word controlled. It meant power, force, everything she had specifically avoided. "I didn't control him," she said quietly. "I just let him know he didn't have to be afraid anymore." There was a long pause. Angela wondered what Norman Tucker's face looked like right now. Was he angry? Impressed? Suspicious? She had no way to know. "From now on," Norman said finally, "you work in the stables. This horse is your responsibility." Angela's world tilted. "What?" "You heard me. You're the only one who can handle him. So he's yours. But I'm not a trainer. I don't know how to." "You know enough." His voice left no room for argument. "Report to the stable manager after you're finished here. He'll show you where you'll be staying." Before Angela could respond, she heard his footsteps walking away. She stood there in the paddock, one hand on a horse she could not see, her whole life changing in ways she did not understand yet. And 30 yards away, hidden in an oak tree, a camera kept recording. Angela stood alone in the paddock now. Well, not completely alone. The horse was still beside her, his warm body pressed against her side like he did not want to lose contact. She could hear people talking outside the fence, but their voices were low and far away. They were probably discussing what just happened, probably trying to make sense of it. She was trying to make sense of it too. Her whole body felt strange, like she had just run a race or jumped off something high. The fear was leaving her system slowly, making her hands shake and her knees feel weak. But she could not focus on that right now. The horse needed her attention. "Let me check that cut," she said softly, running her fingers along his shoulder again. The blood was drying now, sticky under her touch. The wound was not deep, like she thought, but it was long. Maybe 6 inches. The wood from the fence must have scraped him when he crashed into it. The horse stood perfectly still while she touched him. No flinching, no pulling away, just breathing and trusting. Angela's throat got tight. This animal had been fighting for his life 30 minutes ago. Scared out of his mind, hurting people because he thought they were trying to hurt him. And now he was letting a stranger touch his wounds like it was the most natural thing in the world. "You're a good boy," she whispered. "Such a good boy." She heard the gate open. Footsteps coming toward her. Heavy boots. Multiple people. Angela tensed. The horse tensed too. She felt his muscles go tight under her hand. And in a place like this, being seen was the most dangerous thing you could be. Angela finally stood up from the dirt, her legs shaky and sore. Obsidian stayed close, following her movement like a shadow. She ran her hand along his neck one more time, feeling his warmth, his realness, proof that what just happened was not a dream. "Come on," she said softly. "Let's get you to your stall. You need rest." She took a step toward where she thought the gate was, using the sun's position on her face to guide her. But she had only taken 3 steps when she heard footsteps again. Different from before. Slower. More deliberate. The kind of walk that said the person knew they owned every inch of ground they stepped on. Norman Tucker had come back. Angela stopped moving. Obsidian stopped too, pressing against her side like he was trying to protect her. "Miss Davis." Norman's voice was closer than she expected, maybe 10 feet away. "I want to talk to you before you go." "Yes, sir." She heard him take a few more steps. Closer. 8 feet now. Then 6. He was moving into her personal space, the invisible bubble everyone had around them. Most people did not do that to strangers. But Norman Tucker was not most people. Angela tilted her head up slightly, facing where she thought his face was. Her clouded eyes, milky white and unseeing, reflected the late afternoon sun. She knew what they looked like. People had told her before. Ghostly, eerie, unsettling. Most people looked away when they saw her eyes. They did not mean to be rude. It just made them uncomfortable. Reminded them of things they did not want to think about. Blindness, disability, vulnerability. But Norman Tucker did not look away. She could feel him staring. Could feel the weight of his attention like heat from a fire. "You're not afraid of me," he said. It was not a question. It was an observation. Like he was making note of something strange. "Should I be?" Angela asked. "Most people are." Norman took another step closer. "For feet away now. I've built a certain reputation. People know who I am. What I'm capable of. Usually, when I stand this close to someone, I can see it in their eyes. The fear. The calculation. They're trying to figure out how to stay on my good side." Angela did not say anything. What could she say? She did not know what her face looked like right now. Could not see his expression to know how to respond. "But you," Norman continued, and she heard something in his voice she could not identify. Curiosity. Frustration. "You're just standing there. Not nervous. Not trying to please me. You're not even looking at me." "I can't look at you," Angela said quietly. "I don't know where you are exactly. I'm going by sound. But even if you could see me, I don't think you'd be afraid." Angela thought about that. Was he right? She had been terrified in the paddock, but that was about the horse, about the physical danger. Norman Tucker? He was a different kind of danger. The kind you could not see coming. The kind that smiled while it destroyed you. But fear was a choice in a way. Her father had taught her that. You could not always control what happened to you, but you could control how you responded. "I've been afraid of a lot of things in my life," Angela said carefully. "Being blind. Being alone. Being hungry. Being invisible. She paused. But being afraid of people? That's exhausting. I'd rather just be honest and see what happens. Norman made a sound that might have been a laugh. Honest? That's rare in my world. I don't know much about your world. You're in it now. Norman's voice got quieter. More serious. That horse you just calmed, he's worth $400,000. The men he injured, they're trained security. The best I could hire. And you, a woman I'm paying $35,000 a year to polish silver, walked into that paddock and did what they couldn't. Angela did not know where this was going. She stayed quiet. Do you know what that tells me? Norman asked. No, sir. It tells me you're valuable. Very valuable. And in my world, valuable things get protected. Or they get used. Sometimes both. A chill ran down Angela's spine. The way he said used made her stomach twist. She wanted to step back, to put distance between them, but Obsidian was behind her and Norman was in front. She was trapped. I'm not trying to scare you, Norman said, like he could read her thoughts. I'm being honest. Like you said you prefer. You did something remarkable today. That makes you an asset. And I take care of my assets. I don't want to be an asset, Angela said before she could stop herself. I just want to take care of the horse and stay out of trouble. Too late for that. Norman's footsteps moved again, circling around her now. Angela turned her head, trying to track him by sound, but he was deliberately moving in ways that confused her. Left, then right, then behind her, then to the side. It was a power play. He was showing her that he could move around her space, and she could not stop him. Could not even see him doing it. You're different from other people I've met, Norman said from somewhere behind her now. Most people, when they talk to me, they're performing. Putting on a show. Trying to be what they think I want them to be. But you, his voice moved to her right side. You can't perform because you can't see me. Can't read my expressions. Can't tell if I'm pleased or angry or bored. Angela's hands clenched at her sides. Is there a point to this? The point, Norman said, his voice directly in front of her again, so close she could feel his breath, is that I find you fascinating. And I don't get fascinated easily. Angela's heart was pounding now. This felt dangerous in a way the horse had not. The horse was simple. Scared animal. Scared girl. Both trying to survive. But this was complicated. This was a powerful man admitting interest in her, and she had no idea what that meant. I should go, she said. Obsidian needs to be settled in his stall. In a moment, Norman did not move, did not step back to give her space. I need to know something first. When you walked into that paddock, what did you think was going to happen? Honestly, I thought I was going to die. But you walked in anyway. Yes. Why? Angela thought about lying, about giving some noble answer about saving the horse or proving herself. But he asked for honesty, and something told her he would know if she lied. Because I was tired of being invisible, she said quietly. I've spent 2 months here being nobody. Being the blind girl who cleans things and stays quiet. And when I heard that horse screaming, when I felt everyone giving up on him, I just thought. She paused, trying to find the right words. I thought maybe being nobody was worse than being dead. At least if I died trying to help, I died being someone. The silence that followed was so complete, Angela could hear her own heartbeat. Then Norman spoke, and his voice was different. Softer. Almost human. I understand that more than you know. He stepped back, finally giving her space. Angela could breathe again. Go take care of your horse, Norman said. Tomorrow morning, I want a full report on his condition. You'll report directly to me. Not the stable manager. Not security. Me. Why? Because you're not working for them anymore. You're working for me. Personally. His footsteps started to move away, then stopped. One more thing, Miss Davis. Yes. That honesty you value so much. Keep it. Everyone else around here lies to me because they're afraid. But you? I want the truth. Always. Even if you think it will make me angry. Especially then. Can you do that? Angela nodded slowly. Yes, sir. Good. Norman Tucker walked away, his expensive shoes crunching on gravel until the sound faded completely. Angela stood there in the paddock, Obsidian warm against her side, and tried to understand what just happened. Norman Tucker was interested in her. Not in a normal way. in a way that felt like being studied under a microscope, like being a specimen in a lab. She did not like it, but she also did not have a choice. "Come on, boy," she said to Obsidian, finding his neck with her hand. "Let's get you home." She walked slowly toward the gate, one hand on the horse, the other stretched out in front of her, feeling for obstacles. Someone had left the gate open. She found it with her fingertips and guided Obsidian through. The stable was close. She could smell hay and leather and animal warmth. Could hear horses moving in their stalls, curious about the newcomer. A man's voice called out, "Miss Davis, I'm Leo, the stable manager. I'll show you to your new room and get Obsidian settled." "Thank you." Leo's footsteps approached, and she heard the jingle of a lead rope. "May I?" "Please." Leo clipped the rope to Obsidian's halter gently, talking to the horse in a low, calm voice. "Hey there, big guy. Let's get you cleaned up and fed, yeah? You've had a rough day." They walked together, Leo leading, Angela following the sound of his voice and footsteps. The stable smelled like home in a way the main house never had. It reminded her of her father's ranch, of simpler times. "Your room's right here," Leo said, stopping. "Door on the right. Obsidian's stall is directly across from it. You'll be able to hear if he needs anything during the night." "Thank you. I'll get him settled. You should rest. You look like you've been through a war." Angela almost laughed. That was exactly what it felt like. She found the door handle, pushed it open, and stepped into her new room. It smelled clean. Fresh sheets, wood floors. She felt along the wall until she found a bed, sat down on it, and finally let herself feel everything she had been holding back. Her hands were shaking. Her whole body was shaking. She had almost died today, had walked into a paddock with a killer horse and somehow survived, had caught the attention of a dangerous man who looked at her like she was a puzzle to solve. And somewhere, she knew deep in her bones, someone was watching, recording, waiting. Being invisible had kept her safe, but now she was visible, and she had no idea how to protect herself from what came next. Angela woke up the next morning to the sound of horses. Not panic sounds like yesterday. Normal sounds. A soft whinny from somewhere down the stable hall. The thump of a hoof against wood. The rustle of hay being pulled from a feeder. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then it all came back. The paddock. The horse. Norman Tucker's intense interest in her. Her new job. Her new life. She sat up slowly, her body aching in places she did not know could ache. Her knees hurt from kneeling in the dirt. Her shoulders were tight from tension. Even her jaw hurt from clenching it so hard yesterday. But she was alive. Angela stood and felt her way around the room. It was small, maybe 10 feet by 12 feet. She found a dresser against one wall, a small bathroom in the corner with a toilet and sink, the bed she had slept in, a chair by the window she could not see out of. Someone had brought her things from her old room in the staff quarters. She found her clothes folded neatly in the dresser, her white cane leaning against the wall by the door. The few personal items she owned arranged on top of the dresser where she could find them easily. She got dressed quickly. White shirt, black skirt, the same uniform she always wore, though she guessed it did not matter anymore. She was not a maid now. She was whatever Norman Tucker decided she was. That thought made her stomach twist. Angela found her cane and opened the door. The morning air was cool and smelled like animals and hay and coffee. Someone was brewing coffee nearby. Her stomach reminded her she had not eaten since yesterday morning. "Morning!" Angela turned toward the voice. Leo, the stable manager from last night. "Morning," she said back. "You hungry?" "I've got breakfast in the office. Nothing fancy. Just eggs and toast." "That sounds perfect." Leo's footsteps moved away and Angela followed, her cane tapping softly against the concrete floor. She counted the stalls as they passed. 1, 2, 3, 4. She heard horses moving inside them. Calm horses. Well cared for horses. On the 5th stall, she stopped. A loud whinny erupted from inside. Urgent. Almost frantic. Then the sound of hooves kicking against the stall door. "That's him," Leo said. "Been doing that since about 5 this morning. The second he hears footsteps, he goes crazy. But the weird thing is, he calms down the second you get close. Watch." Angela moved to the stall door. "Obsidian." The kicking stopped immediately. Angela reached out carefully, finding the top of the stall door, then sliding her hand down until she felt warm breath on her fingers. Obsidian's nose. He pressed into her palm, huffing softly. "Hey, boy," she said quietly. "Did you sleep okay?" Another huff. This one sounded almost like a complaint. Angela smiled. "Yeah, me neither. It was a weird day, huh?" "I tried to give him breakfast an hour ago," Leo said. "He wouldn't let me in the stall. Nearly took my hand off when I reached for his feed bucket." Angela frowned. "He tried to bite you?" "Not exactly. More like he put himself between me and the bucket. Blocked me. Wouldn't let me get close to anything in there." Leo sounded frustrated but also confused. "I've been working with horses for 20 years. Never seen one act like this. He's not aggressive exactly. He's just refusing to let anyone but you near him." Angela's hand stilled on Obsidian's nose. "That's not good. Tell me about it. How are we supposed to take care of him if he won't let anyone touch him?" "Can I try going in?" Angela asked. "Be my guest. But be careful. He's unpredictable." Leo opened the stall door. Angela stepped inside slowly, her cane sweeping in front of her. The stall was bigger than her room, maybe 15 feet by 15 feet. She felt hay under her feet, smelled fresh water, heard Obsidian move closer to her. His huge head bumped against her shoulder. Gentle, seeking. "You're being difficult," Angela said softly. "Leo's trying to help you. You can't bite people who are trying to help." Obsidian huffed again. Angela found his neck, stroked it slowly. "I know you're scared. I know yesterday was terrible. But we have to figure out how to live here, okay? That means letting other people take care of you when I'm not around." The horse pressed closer. His whole body was tense. Not aggressive, Angela realized. Protective. He was trying to protect her, or maybe himself. Or both. She thought about what Leo said. Obsidian would not let anyone near his things. Near his space. That sounded like a horse that had learned not to trust people. A horse that thought everyone was going to hurt him except for one person who had proven she would not. "This is a problem," Angela murmured. "You're telling me." Leo was standing at the stall door, keeping a safe distance. "I've got 5 other horses to feed and clean up after. I can't spend all day coaxing him to cooperate. And if he won't let the vet examine him, or let me clean his stall, or let anyone groom him, we're going to have serious issues." Angela knew he was right. She could not be here 24 hours a day. Obsidian needed to learn to trust other people. But how do you teach trust to an animal that had it broken so badly? "Give me some time with him," Angela said. "Let me see if I can figure out what he needs." "You've got 1 hour. Then I need to move on to the other horses." Leo's footsteps retreated. Angela heard the office door close in the distance. She stood in the stall with Obsidian, her hand on his neck, thinking. "Okay, big guy," she said finally. "Here's the deal. I can't be with you all the time. I have to sleep. I have to eat. I have to do other things. So you need to let Leo help you. He's a good person. He's not going to hurt you." Obsidian's breath came out in a long sigh. I know it's hard, but we're going to practice, okay? I'm going to stand here, and Leo is going to come back, and you're going to let him do his job. And I'll be right here the whole time. I promise." She walked to the stall door and called out, "Leo, can you come back?" Footsteps approached. Slower this time. "Careful." "Yeah. Come stand at the door. Don't come in. Just stand there." Leo appeared at the stall door. Angela could hear his breathing. Nervous but trying to hide it. Obsidian immediately moved, positioning himself between Angela and Leo. His body went tense again. "Good," Angela said, keeping her voice calm. "Leo, say something to him. Something nice. Hey there, big guy. You doing okay this morning?" Obsidian's ears flicked, listening but suspicious. "Now take 1 step inside," Angela instructed. Leo's boots scraped against concrete as he stepped through the door. Obsidian shifted, his body still blocking Angela. "It's okay," Angela said, stroking the horse's shoulder. "Leo's a friend. He's safe." They stood like that for a long moment. 3 bodies in a stall. Tension thick in the air. Then Angela did something that surprised even herself. She walked away from Obsidian and moved toward Leo. The horse immediately followed, staying close to her side. See? Angela said. He's protecting me. That's what this is. He thinks he needs to protect me from everyone. Why would he think that? Because yesterday, I was the only one who didn't try to hurt him. Everyone else was ropes and force and fear. I was just breathing and talking. So now he thinks I'm the only safe person in the world. Leo was quiet for a moment. So what do? We show him that there are other safe people. We show him that you're part of his herd now. Angela reached out until she found Leo's arm. Hold still. She guided Leo's hand toward Obsidian's neck. Slowly, carefully. The horse tensed but did not pull away because Angela's hand was there too, guiding, reassuring. That's it, Angela murmured. Leo's not going to hurt you. Feel. His hand is gentle, just like mine. Leo's fingers touched Obsidian's neck. The horse flinched but stayed still. Keep your hand there, Angela said. Don't move it. Just let him feel that you're not a threat. They stood like that for what felt like forever. Angela's hand on top of Leo's, hand on top of Obsidian's neck. 3 points of contact. 3 beings learning to trust. Finally, Obsidian let out a long breath. His muscles relaxed slightly. There you go, Angela whispered. That's it. That's how we do it. Over the next hour, they practiced. Leo brought in the feed bucket. Angela stayed close to Obsidian, talking to him, keeping him calm. Leo filled the water trough. Angela guided Obsidian's attention away from the perceived threat and toward her voice, her touch, her presence. Slowly, bit by bit, the horse started to understand. Not everyone was dangerous. Some people were safe. Some people were part of the herd. By the time the hour was up, Leo was able to move around the stall without Obsidian trying to block him. It was not perfect. The horse was still tense, still watching Leo's every move. But it was progress. I'll be damned, Leo said, standing by the water trough. You're like a horse whisperer or something. Angela shook her head. I'm not whispering anything. I'm just listening. There's a difference. Leo left to take care of the other horses. Angela stayed with Obsidian, sitting in the corner of his stall on a pile of hay. The horse came over and stood beside her, his big head lowering to rest near her shoulder. We're going to be okay, Angela said quietly. Both of us. We're going to figure this out. But even as she said it, she felt a prickling sensation on the back of her neck. That feeling she sometimes got when she could not see but knew someone was watching. She turned her head, listening. Nothing. Just horses in their stalls. Leo humming while he worked. Birds outside the stable. But the feeling did not go away. Somewhere, hidden where she could not sense, someone was watching Angela Davis bond with a horse that would not let anyone else touch him. Watching and recording. Learning exactly how valuable she was. And planning what to do with that information. 3 days passed in a rhythm that Angela almost started to enjoy. Wake up. Feed Obsidian. Spend hours with him in the stall, or the small paddock attached to the stable. Talk to him. Brush him. Walk him. Teach him that not everything was a threat. Leo stopped by twice a day now. Sometimes he brought reports for Norman. Sometimes he just checked on them. Obsidian still did not love other people, but he tolerated Leo. That was progress. On the 4th morning, Angela woke up with that feeling again. The watching feeling. She sat up in bed, her heart beating faster than it should. The sun was warming her face through the window, so it was probably around 7 in the morning. She heard horses moving in their stalls. Leo's voice somewhere down the hall, talking to one of the animals. Normal sounds. Safe sounds. But something felt wrong. Angela got dressed quickly and grabbed her cane. She opened her door and stood in the hallway listening. Really listening. Not just for sounds, but for the quality of the air. The way sound moved through space. The tiny details that told her when something was different. There. A shift in the air pressure. Like someone had just moved past a doorway. Or taken a step back into shadow. Hello! Angela called out. No answer. She walked down the hall slowly, her cane tapping. The stable was built in a U shape. Her room and Obsidian's stall were at one end. Leo's office was in the middle. 5 other horse stalls lined the opposite side. Behind the stable was a big open field where the horses could run during the day. Angela stopped at Obsidian's stall. Morning, boy. He whinnied softly, happy to hear her voice. She opened the stall door and stepped inside. Obsidian immediately came to her, pressing his nose into her hand. She stroked his face, but her attention was elsewhere. Listening. There it was again. That feeling. Like eyes on her back. Angela turned slowly, facing the stall door. Is someone there? Silence. But not empty silence. Occupied silence. The kind where someone is holding their breath, trying not to be noticed. Leo! Angela called out. Is that you? Down here. Leo's voice came from the far end of the stable. Too far away to be the presence she felt. Angela's hand tightened on her cane. Who else is here? Just you and me, Leo called back. And the horses. Why? Angela did not answer. She stood very still, every sense focused outward. Whoever was here was not moving, not breathing loud enough to hear, just watching. Then she heard it, so soft she almost missed it, a tiny mechanical sound, like a button being pressed, or a shutter closing. Click! It came from above her, from the rafters maybe, or from outside the stable through the upper windows where the light came in. Angela's blood went cold. That sound. She knew that sound from the old days when her father used to take pictures of the horses. The sound of a camera. Someone was taking her picture. Who's there? She demanded, louder this time. Obsidian sensed her fear and moved closer, his big body pressing against her like a shield. Nothing. No answer. No movement. But Angela knew what she heard. Someone was watching her, recording her, and they did not want her to know. She walked out of the stall, moving toward where she thought the sound came from. Her cane swept in front of her, finding walls, finding doorways, finding empty space. She walked to the back door of the stable, the one that led to the field, pushed it open, stepped outside. The morning air was cool. She heard birds, heard the rustle of grass in the breeze, but no footsteps, no breathing. If someone had been there, they were gone now. Angela stood in the doorway, her hands shaking slightly. Maybe she was being paranoid. Maybe the sound was something else. A bird. A branch tapping against the window. Her mind playing tricks because she was stressed and tired and still adjusting to this new life. But deep down, she did not think so. Someone had been watching her. She felt it in her bones. She went back inside and found Leo in his office. The smell of coffee was stronger here. She heard papers rustling on his desk. Leo, has anyone else been around the stable this morning? Nope. Just me. Been here since 5:30. He paused. Why? Something wrong? I don't know. Maybe. I keep feeling like someone's watching me. Leo's chair creaked as he stood up. Like one of the security guys? They patrol around here sometimes. Maybe one of them was checking on things. Maybe. But Angela did not think it was security. Security guards did not hide in rafters. They did not use cameras that went click when they took pictures. They wore uniforms and walked around openly. This was something else. Someone else. Want me to ask around? Leo offered. See if anyone saw anything unusual? No. It's fine. I'm probably just jumpy. Angela forced a smile. New place. New job. I'm not used to it yet. Leo did not sound convinced, but he let it go. Well, if you see or hear anything weird, you tell me, okay? Norman's pretty serious about security around here. He wouldn't want anyone sneaking around the stables. Angela nodded and left the office. She spent the rest of the morning with Obsidian, but she could not shake the feeling. The watched feeling. It sat on her shoulders like weight. Around noon, she took Obsidian out to the small paddock for exercise. She walked him in circles, letting him stretch his legs, keeping her hand on his neck. The sun was warm. The air smelled like grass and horses and earth. And then she heard it again. Click. Angela stopped walking. Obsidian stopped too, sensing her tension. The sound came from somewhere to her left, maybe 50 feet away, near the tree line that bordered the estate property. Who's there? Angela called out. No answer. I can hear you, she said louder now. I know you're there. Still nothing. But she heard something else. Footsteps. Very faint. Moving away quickly. Running. Someone had been there. Someone with a camera. And now they were running away. Angela's heart pounded. She wanted to chase them, to demand answers, to know who was watching her and why. But she could not chase someone she could not see. Could not catch someone when she did not know which direction they went. She led Obsidian back to his stall, her mind racing. Someone was watching her, taking pictures, recording her. But why? Was it Norman? Was he having her followed, documented? Maybe he did not trust her. Maybe this was how he kept track of his employees. But that did not feel right. Norman Tucker was many things, but subtle was not one of them. If he wanted to know what she was doing, he would just ask. Or demand. He would not hide in trees with cameras. So who? Angela sat in Obsidian's stall, her back against the wall, her mind spinning through possibilities. Another employee? Someone jealous that she got promoted from maid to horse trainer? That seemed stupid. Why would they care enough to spy on her? A reporter? Someone investigating Norman Tucker's criminal activities? But what would they want with her? She was nobody. Just a blind woman who got lucky with a horse. Or maybe not lucky. Maybe that was the point. Angela thought about what happened in the paddock. How she calmed Obsidian when 15 trained men could not. How Norman had looked at her afterward, like she was valuable. Like she was an asset. What if someone else saw that too? What if someone else thought she was valuable? The question was, valuable for what? Angela hugged her knees to her chest, feeling more afraid than she had felt in the paddock. Physical danger she could handle. A horse might hurt her, but at least she understood that threat. This was different. This was invisible. This was someone watching from shadows, collecting information, planning something she could not see or predict. And the worst part, she had no proof. Just feelings. Just sounds that could be explained away. A camera click could be anything. A bird. A branch. Her imagination. Footsteps could be a groundskeeper. A security guard. The wind. Nobody would believe her. And even if they did, what could they do? She could not describe the person. Could not point to where they went. Could not give any details except someone was watching me. She was blind. And her blindness, which had helped her with Obsidian, now made her the perfect target. Someone could stand 5 feet away, and she would never know what they looked like. Could never identify them. Could never prove they existed. Angela heard Leo's footsteps in the hallway. She stood up quickly, wiping her face. She did not realize she had been crying. "Hey, Angela! Norman wants to see you." Her stomach dropped. "Now?" "Yeah. Up at the main house. He sent one of his guys to get you." Angela took a breath, steadied herself. "Okay. Can you watch Obsidian for a bit?" "Sure thing." Angela grabbed her cane and followed Leo out to where one of Norman's security guys was waiting. She recognized his voice from the paddock disaster. One of the ones who had watched her calm Obsidian. "Miss Davis," he said, respectful now. "I'll walk you up to the house." They walked in silence. Angela counted her steps out of habit. 423 steps from the stable to the main house's back entrance. She memorized it, just in case she needed to know. The guard led her through the house. She smelled furniture polish and expensive flowers, heard her feet echo on hard floors, probably marble. Rich people love marble. "He's in his office," the guard said, stopping. "Third door on your left." "Thank you." The guard's footsteps retreated. Angela found the door and knocked. "Come in." She opened the door and stepped inside. The room smelled like leather and paper and something sharp. Alcohol, maybe. Or expensive cologne. "Angela!" Norman's voice came from across the room. "Sit." She heard him gesture, probably pointing to a chair. She found it with her cane and sat down. "How's the horse?" Norman asked. "Good. He's making progress. Still protective, but better with Leo now." "Good." A pause. "You look worried. Something wrong?" Angela hesitated. Should she tell him? Would he believe her? Would he even care? "I think someone's been watching me," she said finally. "At the stable. Taking pictures, maybe. I've heard a camera. And footsteps." Norman was quiet for a long moment. "When did this start?" His voice was different now. Sharp. Focused. "This morning. But I've felt it before. Someone watching. I just could not prove it until today." "And you heard a camera?" "Yes. Twice." Norman's chair moved. He was standing now. Walking. She heard him pull out a phone and dial. "Get security to the stable. Now. I want every inch of that property searched. And I want camera footage from the last week reviewed. Someone's been on my property without permission." He hung up. "Stay here," he told Angela. Don't go back to the stable until I say so. But Obsidian, Leo can handle him for a few hours. I need to figure out who's been watching you. And why. Angela heard the door open and close. Norman was gone, and she was left sitting in his office, alone with her fear, wondering who was watching her and what they wanted, and why she felt like her life was about to get much, much more dangerous. Angela sat alone in Norman's office for what felt like hours, but was probably only 30 minutes. She could not stop her leg from bouncing, could not stop her hands from twisting together in her lap. Someone had been watching her, taking pictures, and now Norman knew. She did not know if that made things better or worse. The door opened suddenly. Norman's footsteps entered, followed by heavier boots. Multiple people. Security, probably. Miss Davis, you can go back to the stable now, Norman said. His voice was tight, controlled, the way people sounded when they were very angry but trying to hide it. Did you find something? Angela asked. A pause. Then, yes. What was it? That's not your concern right now. Just go back to your room and stay there until I tell you otherwise. Don't go outside. Don't talk to anyone except Leo. Understood. Angela's stomach twisted. That was not an answer. That was an order. And the way Norman said it made her skin prickle with fear. Yes, sir, she said quietly. One of the security guys led her back to the stable. He did not talk the whole way, just walked fast, making her almost jog to keep up. When they got to her room, he waited until she went inside, then she heard him take up position outside her door. She was being guarded, or maybe watched. She could not tell the difference anymore. Angela sat on her bed and waited. Obsidian whinnied from across the hall, sensing her stress. She wanted to go to him, to feel his warm, solid presence, but Norman said to stay in her room. And something in his voice told her not to disobey. An hour passed, then another. Angela heard people moving around the stable. Voices. Searching sounds. Once, she heard Norman's voice, low and furious, talking to someone. She could not make out the words, but the tone was clear. Someone was in serious trouble. Finally, around sunset based on the cooling temperature, there was a knock on her door. Miss Davis, it's Leo. Can I come in? Yes. The door opened. Leo's footsteps entered, slower than usual. He sat down in the chair by her window with a heavy sigh. What's going on? Angela asked. Nobody will tell me anything. Leo was quiet for a moment. They found a photograph. Angela's breath caught. Where? Pinned to the stable door. The main entrance. Someone put it there this afternoon while we were all inside. Leo's voice dropped lower. It was a picture of you. With Obsidian. Angela's hands clenched in her lap. What kind of picture? You were in his stall. Your back was to the camera. You had your arms around his neck. Your face was pressed against him. It looked like you were hugging him. Leo paused. It was taken from outside, through the window. High angle. Like someone was up in a tree or on a ladder. Angela felt cold all over. That moment. She remembered that moment. 3 days ago, after the first time Obsidian let Leo touch him. She had been so relieved, so emotional, that she hugged the horse. It was private, personal, a moment that meant something to her. And someone had taken a picture of it, and then pinned it to the door for everyone to see. Why would someone do that? Angela whispered. Norman thinks it's a message. What kind of message? Leo shifted in his chair. That someone can get close to you without being caught. That they can watch you whenever they want. That they know things about you. He paused. Norman's really angry. I've never seen him like this. He had security sweep the entire stable. Found 2 more cameras. One in the rafters above Obsidian's stall. One outside, mounted in a tree with a view of the paddock. 2 cameras. Someone had set up surveillance. On her. Watching her every move with Obsidian. Recording everything. Did they catch who did it? Angela asked, her voice barely above a whisper. No. The cameras were wireless. Whoever set them up could have been watching from anywhere on the property. Or even off the property if they had the right equipment. Leo sounded frustrated. Norman had his tech guy trace the signal, but whoever did this knew what they were doing. They covered their tracks. Angela wrapped her arms around herself. Why me? I'm nobody. I just work here. You're not nobody anymore. Leo said gently. What you did with Obsidian. That made you somebody. That made you important. And in Norman's world, important people attract attention. Not always good attention. Angela thought about that. Norman had called her valuable. An asset, but she had not realized what that meant. That other people might see her that way too. Might want to use her. Or hurt her. Or study her like she was some kind of experiment. What do I do? She asked. You stay inside at night. You don't go anywhere alone. And you tell someone immediately if you see or hear anything strange. Leo stood up. Norman's doubling security around the stable. There will be guards posted 24 hours a day. Nobody gets in or out without being checked. That should have made Angela feel safer. But it did not. Because if someone had managed to plant cameras and take pictures right under everyone's noses, what would stop them from doing it again? After Leo left, Angela tried to sleep but could not. Every sound made her jump. Every creak of the building made her think someone was outside her door. Her window. Watching. She finally gave up around midnight and went across the hall to Obsidian's stall. The guard outside her door started to stop her, then radioed someone and got permission to let her go. Obsidian was awake. He whinnied softly when she entered, immediately coming to her side. Hey, boy, Angela said, her voice shaking. Can't sleep either? She sat down in the corner of his stall, her back against the wall. Obsidian lay down beside her, his huge body warm and solid. She rested her hand on his neck and tried to slow her racing heart. Someone had been watching her, recording her, taking pictures of private moments, and she had no idea who or why. But the scariest part was the photograph itself. Not just that it existed, but where it was left, pinned to the stable door, in plain sight, where anyone could see it. That was not someone trying to stay hidden. That was someone making a statement, sending a message. I can see you. I can get to you. And there's nothing you can do about it. Angela shivered despite the warmth of the stable. Obsidian shifted closer, like he was trying to protect her. We're in trouble, aren't we? She whispered to him. Both of us. The horse did not answer, but his presence said enough. They were in this together now. Whatever this was. Angela must have fallen asleep eventually, because she woke to the sound of voices outside the stall. Morning light was warming her face. Obsidian was standing now, his body positioned between her and the door. Miss Davis. Norman's voice. Are you in there? Angela stood up quickly, brushing hay off her clothes. Yes, sir. The stall door opened. Norman's footsteps entered, confident and purposeful. He stopped a few feet away. Obsidian tensed but did not move. We need to talk, Norman said. About the photograph. Angela's throat went dry. Okay. The person who took that picture knew exactly when to take it. Knew where you would be. Knew what angle would show you at your most vulnerable. Norman's voice was cold. Analytical. That means they've been watching you for days. Maybe weeks. Learning your patterns. Your schedule. Your routines. Angela felt sick. I've had my people review all security footage from the last month, Norman continued. We found something interesting. The cameras were installed the day after your incident with Obsidian. The day after everyone saw what you could do with him. So this is because of that? Angela asked. Because I calmed him? Partly. But it's bigger than that. Norman moved closer. She could smell his cologne now. Expensive and sharp. Someone sees value in what you can do. They're documenting it, studying it. And the photograph on the door, that was them letting me know they exist. That they're watching. That they can get to you anytime they want. Angela's hands started shaking. What do they want? I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. Norman's voice dropped lower. Dangerous. Nobody operates on my property without my permission. Nobody watches my people without my knowledge. Whoever did this made a mistake. They revealed themselves, and now I know they exist. He started to leave, then paused at the door. One more thing, Miss Davis. That photograph. Keep it in mind. Because whoever took it wanted you to know something. They wanted you to understand that your private moments aren't private anymore. That you're being watched. Always. Norman left. The door closed behind him. Angela stood in the stall with Obsidian, her whole body trembling. The message was clear. She was not safe. Not in her room. Not in the stable. Not anywhere. Someone was watching, recording, planning. And the worst part? She had no idea what they were planning for. But she knew, deep in her bones, that whatever it was going to change everything. Again. The next 2 days passed in a fog of fear and routine. Angela took care of Obsidian, ate her meals, tried to sleep, but everything felt different now. Every sound made her wonder if it was the Watcher. Every moment of silence made her imagine someone standing just out of reach, camera pointed at her, recording. The guards outside her door changed shifts every 8 hours. She learned their voices. Tomas in the morning, Reed in the afternoon, Javier at night. They were polite but distant, doing their job, keeping her safe, or keeping her trapped. She could not tell which. On the 3rd morning after the photograph, Norman came to the stable again. Angela heard his footsteps and knew it was him before he spoke. He had a particular walk, confident, unhurried, like he owned every inch of ground he touched. "Miss Davis, walk with me." It was not a request. Angela grabbed her cane and followed him out of the stable. They walked in silence for a while. She counted steps, building a mental map. Gravel path, then grass. The air smelled different here. Flowers maybe, or fresh cut bushes. Norman stopped walking. "Do you want to know what the photograph looked like?" "In detail." Angela's stomach clenched. "I already know what was in it. Leo told me. He told you the basics. But there are details he didn't mention. Details that matter." Norman's voice was quieter now, almost gentle. "May I describe it to you?" Angela did not want to hear this, did not want to know, but she nodded anyway. "You were in Obsidian's stall," Norman began. "Your back was to the camera. Your white shirt was wrinkled. There was hay stuck to your skirt. Your hair had fallen out of its usual style. You looked tired, worn out." Angela remembered that moment. She had been exhausted that day, emotionally drained from teaching Obsidian to trust Leo. "Your arms were around the horse's neck," Norman continued. "Your face was pressed against him. And here's the thing that struck me. Your expression. How could you see my expression if my back was to the camera? Because your head was turned slightly to the side. Just enough. And whoever took this picture knew exactly when to click the shutter. They caught the exact moment when you thought no one was watching. When you let your guard down completely." Angela's hands tightened on her cane. "You were crying," Norman said softly. "Not sobbing. Just silent tears. The kind of crying you do when you're alone and you think it's safe to feel everything you've been holding back." Angela's throat closed up. She remembered. She had cried that day. Relief and fear and exhaustion all mixed together. She thought she was alone. Thought that moment was hers. But it was not. Someone had stolen it. Captured it. Kept it. "Why are you telling me this?" Angela whispered. "Because you need to understand what this photograph represents," Norman said. "It's not just proof that someone can watch you. It's proof that someone understands you." They knew that moment was important. They knew it was vulnerable. They knew it would affect you to know they saw it. Angela felt tears building behind her eyes again. She tried to push them back, but they came anyway. Silent, just like in the photograph. "This person," Norman continued, "they're not just watching you randomly. They're studying you, learning you. They know your patterns, your emotions, your private moments, and that makes them dangerous." "Why though?" Angela's voice broke. "What do they want from me?" "That's what I'm trying to figure out." Norman started walking again. Angela followed. "In my world, people are watched for specific reasons. Either you have information they want, or you have skills they want to exploit, or you're leverage against someone else. I don't have information. I barely know anything about your business. I know. And I don't have skills. Not real ones. I just got lucky with a horse." "We both know it wasn't luck." Norman stopped walking again. "What you did with Obsidian, that's a gift. A rare one. And gifts like that are valuable to certain people." Angela thought about that. What kind of people? People who need someone to handle difficult animals. People who train horses for competitions. People who run illegal fighting rings and need someone who can calm violent animals between matches. Norman's voice got harder. Or people who want to hurt me by taking something valuable from me. That last one made Angela's blood run cold. "You think someone wants to kidnap me?" I think someone wants to know if kidnapping you would be worth it. That's what the surveillance is about. They're gathering data, learning your value. Once they decide you're worth the risk, they'll make their move. Angela's legs felt weak. She sat down right there on the grass, not caring that it was probably expensive and manicured and not meant for sitting. Obsidian was not here to hold on to. She was alone with her fear and a crime boss who was telling her she might be kidnapped. Norman sat down beside her. She heard the grass rustle under his weight. It was strange. Surreal. A powerful man in an expensive suit sitting on the ground next to a blind maid. I won't let that happen, Norman said quietly. You're under my protection now. That means something. Does it? Angela's voice was bitter. Because from where I'm sitting, your protection doesn't feel very protective. Someone planted cameras, took pictures, left them on my door. All while your guards were supposed to be watching. Norman was silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice carried an edge of respect. You're right. My security failed, and heads will roll for that. But I'm doubling down now. No one gets near you without going through me first. I don't want to be a prisoner. You're not a prisoner. You're a target. There's a difference. Angela laughed, but it came out choked. That's worse. I know. Norman stood up. She heard him brush grass off his clothes. Come on. There's something I want you to see. Or rather, something I want to describe to you. They walked further. The grass ended, and Angela's cane hit wood. A deck or platform of some kind. We're at the East Terrace, Norman said. Overlooks the entire estate. From here, you can see the main house. The guest houses. The stables. The paddocks. The woods beyond. He paused. 78 cameras monitor this property. 42 guards patrol in shifts. Every entrance is locked and coded. Every visitor is logged and searched. And yet someone still got in, Angela said. Yes, which means it wasn't someone from outside. It was someone already inside. Angela's breath caught. You think it's one of your people? I think it's someone with access. Someone who knows the property well enough to avoid cameras. Someone who can move around without raising suspicion. Norman's voice was cold now. Someone on my payroll who thinks they're clever enough to betray me. What are you going to do? I'm going to find them. And when I do, they'll wish they'd never looked at you twice. The threat in his voice was clear. Angela almost felt sorry for whoever it was. Almost. Until then, Norman continued, you need to understand something. In this entire estate, with all these people and cameras and security, you are the most watched person here. Not me. Not my business partners. You. Because you're the unknown factor. The wild card. The blind woman who can do impossible things. Angela wrapped her arms around herself. I don't want to be watched. I know. But you are. By me. By my security. By whoever planted those cameras. By everyone who saw what you did with Obsidian and wondered what else you might be capable of. Norman's hand touched her shoulder briefly. The only one who doesn't watch you with an agenda is that horse. He sees you for what you are, not for what you can do for him. Angela thought about Obsidian, the way he pressed against her when she was scared, the way he calmed when she touched him, the way he refused to let anyone else get close unless she said it was okay. Norman was right. Obsidian did not care that she was blind. Did not care that she was valuable, or vulnerable, or watched. He just cared that she was safe, that she was near him, that they protected each other. He's all I have, Angela said quietly. Isn't he? Everyone else here wants something from me. But he just wants me. Yes, Norman said. And for once, he did not sound like a crime boss. He sounded almost human. Almost sad. That horse is the only thing in this place that loves you without conditions. Remember that. When things get hard, when you don't know who to trust, remember that he's real. And his protection is real. They walked back to the stable in silence. When they got there, Norman stopped at the door. I'm assigning you a personal guard, someone who will be with you at all times when you're not with the horse. His name is Tomas. He's been with me for 8 years. I trust him. And if I don't want a guard, then you're a fool. But I don't think you're a fool, Miss Davis. I think you're scared. And smart, and those two things together will keep you alive. Norman left. Angela went into the stable and straight to Obsidian's stall. The horse whinnied when he heard her, pressing his nose through the bars before she even opened the door. She stepped inside and wrapped her arms around his neck. He stood perfectly still, letting her hold on as tight as she needed. "You're the only one who sees me," she whispered into his mane. "Everyone else sees what I can do, what I'm worth, what they can use me for. But you just see me." Obsidian huffed softly against her hair. Agreement, understanding, protection. Angela stayed there for a long time, holding on to the only thing in her life that was real and simple and safe. Because Norman was right about one thing. When everything else was complicated and dangerous and full of hidden agendas, the horse was truth. He did not lie, did not manipulate, did not watch her with cameras. He just loved her, and she loved him back. And in a world where she was the most watched person on the estate, that made him the most valuable thing she had. Not because of what he was worth in money, but because he was the only one she could trust completely. The only one who would protect her not because he was paid to, but because he wanted to. And when the person watching from the shadows finally made their move, Angela had a feeling that Obsidian would be the only reason she survived. Thank you for staying with me until the very end of this incredible journey. If this story touched your heart, wait until you see what's coming next. It's even more powerful and inspiring than you can imagine. So don't go anywhere. Click on that video showing on your screen right now to dive into another amazing story that will absolutely blow your mind. Trust me, you won't regret it.